something I said, until the lion tells his tale, the tale of the hunt belongs to the hunter. And that story did not reflect, I think, the Rwanda of today. It just didn't. I was in the film. I played a very, very small, tiny, insignificant role in that movie, but I just don't feel like it reflected Rwanda. I really don't. And I think it's more and more important to tell stories that reflect the country, properly, that say the Rwanda of now, okay, the Rwanda of the past, but somehow we have to see that what is happening in Rwanda now is just like this. It's going up and up and up and up and up. And Rwanda is becoming the pride of Africa. I landed at your airport and I was like, wow, everywhere is so clean. In Nigeria, I have a charity against plastic pollution. I was so impressed to see plastic being recycled here. And don't forget, I was here 20 years ago when I shot Ezra. It wasn't like this. Some things were happening, but it wasn't like this. So the rate of development is amazing. And so you can't really bring out a film like a year later, 18 years later, that doesn't really speak of how the work that has been put in to develop this amazing country. Really, it's incredible, Aisha Speed was here 2 days ago. You know what he said? He said Rwanda is the most beautiful African country he's ever visited. That says a lot, And when we shoot our film with the young people of Rwanda, the world is going to see a different kind of Rwanda, and that is what is important. So we're tired of the old stories, the old way of telling African stories. We're tired, we're telling our stories now, Yeah, thank you. No, we've always been awake, my brother. We've always been awake. It's just that, we've had the wrong people driving the vehicle of awakening. We've always been awake. We've had great poets, great leaders, Kwame Nkrumah. We've got Pan-Africanists. We had great poets, Wale Ojo, great writers from Rwanda. We've always been awake, but we have the wrong people driving the vehicle. So we have to have the right people to drive the vehicle. Cinema is a tool for revolution. Cinema is a tool for change. And the change starts now. And I've been saying this for a long time. I just played Wale Ojo and The Man Died. Which was talking about the genocide in Biafra. I just played him. Wale Ojo was somebody who imagined he was a Tutsi. He went over to the Hutu to say, please, you must stop this massacre. And he was jailed for it. This became a movie. We just won awards for it last year. We need to keep telling these stories, and it means we have to reawaken a Pan-African consciousness. They're very dominating, but we have to do what we're doing right now. We have to do this. And it's written by Africans for Africans, and when people see it, they will see it as such. I always say that we should do films more and more where different African countries are united. Co-production between Rwanda and Nigeria. I've done co-productions with Nigeria and Kenya, Nigeria and Morocco, Nigeria and Egypt. Nigeria and South Africa, or South Africa and Mozambique. There's just so much. It's a huge continent with so many stories. We can't stop in one place. I think the impact will be very powerful, especially for young people. Especially for young people. I have a good fan base in Nigeria, and my fan base is made mostly of what people are calling Gen Zs, the new generation. And they're always. I always find that I'm very happy that I have more fans who are from the Gen Z. And they look at me and they look at me like as if I'm still a young person, And I do things like I have an acting academy in Nigeria. I want to bring that here to Rwanda, to really inspire young people. This workshop that we did for Bisesero for me was really enlightening, working with the young people here in Rwanda, because I found that there's a lot of talent. And that's why I told her, I said, you're going to get bored of me because I don't want it to seem like we do a 4-day workshop and then we disappear. No, I'm going to be constantly coming back to Rwanda. My colleagues are going back tomorrow, me, I'm staying. I want to learn the language. I need to soak myself. I want to go back to Bisesero. Listen, I just came back from Bisesero 2 days ago. I discovered an amazing location here. It's called the Chateau de Marara. Do you know it?
Yes.
I've done a lot of films. I have never seen a location like this. Even in Switzerland. Have you seen the location? It's like White Castle up and down the lakes. I'm coming back here to shoot another film. So it's very inspiring. I will be playing Aminadabo Berara, the leader of the resistance of the people of Bisesero.
How do you feel?
So you don't get me started now, otherwise when we get into the character. Yeah, no, I'm very honored that Richard saw me and gave me the role. We met actually in America. And he said, oh, I really like your work. I've seen some of your work on Netflix and Amazon. And then he told me about his story, and I said, wow. I said, I didn't know anything about Bisesero. I didn't know nothing. Of course I knew about the genocide, but I didn't know about the resistance of Bisesero. It was an isolated story, And when he told me the story, I was like, wow, really? And even so much so, when I did my research, I found that Berara is such an incredible figure. He has the street in Paris named after him. Although I'm not a great fan of the French anyway in that whole story. But the fact that, what Berara, what he represents for the people of Bisesero was amazing. And when I saw the genocide museum in Bisesero, it was incredible. So when you think of what he achieved for his people, he took the people up the hill. He not only did it once, twice, he did it 3 times, 59, 73, and 94. So he is a real hero, and the fact that his story is not told, his story must be told.
Have you visited the Bisesero?
Yeah, of course. I've been there like 5 times now.
How did you feel after seeing the museum?
Oh, for me it was very emotional. And I met the family. I met his daughter, Epiphany, and he was telling me that we went to Mira Hill, where they stayed. He said that he was showing me where they slept for months. And how Berara just kind of galvanized everybody and organized everybody. And for me, it was amazing that they did it with sticks and stones. And I was like going, how is that possible? And he told me that it was like basically Berara formed really an army. It was a strategy. He said, we have to do this, we have to do that, we have to protect ourselves, when they're coming in, as they're coming up the hill, we stun them and all of that. He was a military strategist. That's what Berara was. And for me, it's an honor to be able to play that. And I don't take this responsibility lightly. It's a huge responsibility. It's an honor, a privilege to be able to play Menadabo Berara, and I hope I will do it justice. And that's why I really want to work very hard to do that.
One more last maybe.
Oh, and you mean from Bisesero? Any stories that were shared?
The man himself.
From his story? I think the fact is that he was very family oriented. He loved his family. The family was very important to him. He had his sons and he had his daughters. He had 2 wives. But they were very, very important to him. But then as a result of that, he spread the rest to the community. Berara will hold, cow giving ceremonies, both for Tutsi and Hutu, up there in Bisesero, before the genocide began. So he was a man who embraced peace. But when he saw the danger, he was ready to protect his clan, and that's what he did magnificently. Yeah.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you very much.
All the best.
Thank you.